So once upon a time, there was a great frog awakening. And this awakening occurred when some of the frogs in a big pot realized that the temperature in that pot was slowly being turned up, and that if they all just continued to hang out in that pot, that they'd all be boiled alive, 'cause none of them would realize that the temperature was too hot until it was too late to try to jump out. But these frogs that had woken up to the realization that the powers that be were trying to boil them all, they also looked for an escape route, and they tried jumping out of the pot, but they realized there were too many security forces around the pot in the form of predators like snakes. They would eat any frog that tried to jump out. So this was the situation. And even though they had elected bullfrogs that were supposed to be taking care of things, none of those elected bullfrogs seemed to care at all about the boiling pot issue. And most of the frogs that knew about it thought that it was likely those elected bullfrogs were behind it. But the more they researched the issue, the more they found out what actually was going on. And what they realized was that there was another entity kind of behind their elected bullfrogs. Somebody that was kind of pulling the strings, and that was the Teachers Guild. And this Teachers Guild had an interest in slowly boiling frogs because they had all sorts of science classrooms all across the world to send dead frogs for dissection. And of course, when the frogs learned about the Teachers Guild, they were outraged. But pretty much nobody would listen to them. None of the other frogs that they tried telling about the Teachers Guild would even consider it was true, because the whole idea that their society was just existing so that frogs could be sent around the world for dissection by kids in classrooms was just too fantastical. So basically, that whole idea just became another conspiracy theory that the majority of frogs in the mainstream didn't even listen to, and they just kept swimming and trying to make it, trying to find enough bugs to feed their family. But the awake frogs didn't give up, and they made it their mission to expose the Teachers Guild and how they were pretty much ordering around their governing frogs and having them do their bidding.